You might have been at a wedding that didn't go exactly the way you expected, but I doubt it was as crazy as this. A bride and her caterer are being charged with putting marijuana in a bunch of the food that they serve to their guests without telling any of them that they were doing that. They've been accused of lacing the wedding food, including lasagna, by the way, which sounds delightful when it doesn't have drugs that you don't know about in it, with marijuana. They caused several guests to become sick, according to the arrest warrant affidavits that are now available. So they've been charged with culpable negligence, delivery of marijuana, and violating Florida's Anti-Tampering Act. One affidavit says that Svoboda, the bride, agreed to and allowed Joycelyn Bryant, the caterer, to lace the food she served with cannabis, many of whom became very ill and required medical attention. And so, look, there are certainly worse things that you could put in the food, I guess, but if you don't know that you're consuming it, it could hit you pretty hard. Like, you might also be drinking not knowing that you're potentially getting high at that point. God knows, maybe some guy really liked lasagna and was just eating chunk after chunk of it, Kyla. This is highly irresponsible.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, I would actually enjoy a Reed wedding. 420 was yesterday, shout out to that. But at the end of the day, you need to, get people who are down to clown, and consent should always be used when, in drug consumption, point blank period. And so they were definitely irresponsible for that. And while I do feel bad for, everyone who had to go through confusion and any discomfort and pain, I know that they're all going to be fine. Alcohol is, the most dangerous recreational drug we use. People regularly consume it at weddings, at parties, at social events. But it's legal, and it's, again, the most dangerous. And so although I feel bad, they did act responsibly, it's not going to do them any harm. It's not going to do them any harm.
Well, some of them did get a little bit sick, but yeah, they're probably not gonna die. They tested the lasagna for THC, which I'm gonna guess that's the first time that's ever happened on our planet. So kudos to the bride for setting up something that's never been done. Anyway, yeah, you're totally right. I mean, alcohol is freely available. People can get totally drunk. I've gotten really drunk at weddings before. When my wife and I got married a couple of years ago, we considered, but we're worried about legal implications, having, in addition to the alcohol and the cake and everything, we wanted to have a display of gummies of different types. So we decided in the end not to do it, but that's definitely coming. The thing though, that would be consensual. You'd know that that's what it is. And as some of you who watched for a while might know, I had an experience once of consuming a bunch of stuff that I didn't know had marijuana in it. I once got back from a trip to DC. My roommate, who was not home, had cooked a lovely tray of brownies, and I love sugar. So I began eating tons of it. And it didn't taste very good, the first one, so I had to eat more to compensate. And I got the highest I've ever got in my life. I 100% thought I was dying. And so you wanna know what you're consuming. I thought I was, oddly enough, I'd taken the trip to DC and I'd gone to the Air and Space Museum. And there, like a lot of tourists, I'd bought one of the aluminum space blankets. I ate the brownies, laid down in the space blanket to watch, I think, The Daily Show or something, and was convinced that I had been poisoned by the space blanket. So that can be rough. That can be rough, everyone. Tell people what you're putting in their food. Anyway.
No, I have a question for you though. Have you had any other brownies since then? Are you traumatized? Sorry.
Oh, I've had tons of brownies. I don't know if I've had brownie edibles. I've had lots of edibles. I don't know that I've had a brownie edible, but I would not rule it out. I would just eat slowly, I think, at that point. Honestly, I'd prefer to just have a regular edible and eat a bunch of regular brownies, honestly. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.